Hey guys, welcome back to Ben and Brewing's channel. If this is your first time here, we do product reviews, tutorials, and we have a live chat feature on our website to help you through your Brew Day 911. Check it out at benandbrewing.com. Click in the lower left. We hope to chat with you soon. Today's video is sponsored by iGulu, who actually just released 4 new brew kits for their iGulu brewing system. We're actually going to do a double brew day and do 2 of the beer kits today. Let's check it out. So let's talk about the kits that iGulu recently released. There are 4 new ones. The first one is kind of the revamped amber kit. They made some tweaks to it, it sounds like, or looks like. Next up, we have a German Helles, which I'm excited to see how that turns out. An English Porter and a German Pilsner. Now, the 2 kits we're doing today, we're actually doing the last 2 that I mentioned, the Porter and the Pilsner. And there's 2 reasons for this. One, we've tried our own version of a Pilsner without a kit, and there was a lot of great learnings from it, and I'm curious to see how iGulu does with their version of a Pilsner. Second, Porter are known for dark, roasty flavors, and to capture those kinds of flavors in your beer, you need to use specialty grains. The iGulu does not use specialty grains, so I'm excited to see how iGulu was able to put those roasty flavors in a porter. The good news with iGulu, because their brew days are so short, we're actually going to have a double brew day, which really won't take much time at all. We are fortunate enough to actually have 2 of the iGulu F1s, so we can ferment them concurrently, and we'll sit down and taste them and see how they do. All right, so let's crack open our first brew of the day and look at what's going to come in the ingredient kit. So the first beer up we're going to look at is the Porter. So let's take a look at the ingredient kit and see what comes in the pack. So we have our dark dried malt extract. Now that's going to give it some good dark color for the beer itself. Next up is our pack of ale yeast to help us ferment it out. They're giving us a Herzbrucker hop extract. Now that is a German noble hop, which tends to be a little bit piney if I remember correctly, and that'll be our hop aroma. And of course the pack of hop bittering extract. Now this is kind of a neutral flavor. It's not any particular type of hop. It's just that bitterness to balance the malt. And of course your RFID sticker. Now in the kits that we received, the RFID sticker didn't specify which beer we were brewing. So if you are doing multiple beers, make sure you keep track of the RFID sticker. I'm sure in later kits as they come out, they'll actually brand them specific to the kit. All right, let's go ahead and brew it. If you brewed on the F1 before, you should be very familiar with how to do it. Keep in mind the new kits do have slightly different instructions based on user feedback, so we will follow their recommended processes. Go ahead and sanitize your Triton keg, both the lid and the inside, with your favorite sanitizer. We're using Star San because of the 30-second contact time, and it is super easy and fast to do. Fill up your Triton keg with filtered water to the 116-ounce mark, and go ahead and add all of your hop oils, both the aroma and the bittering. Next step, you're going to add your dried malt extract, and with a sanitized spoon, you're going to stir it. This is one of the differences in the new kits, again, based on user feedback. Go ahead and stir up the extract until it's dissolved, and then you can pitch your yeast on top. Don't stir the yeast in, let it rest on top of the wort that's in your keg. Go ahead and put your lid on it. Now, we did add a tilt hydrometer to ours just because we're nerds and we like to track fermentation, and we want to make sure the kits ferment out all the way. Go ahead and put your keg lid on, add the seal that goes around the outside to keep it from popping off under pressure, and go ahead and put it inside of your iGulu F1. Once that's done, hook up the air or CO2 line to the keg and your serving tube as well. Make sure that you clamp down that little white clamp all the way during fermentation. Now that you have your wort and yeast pitched and it is secured in your iGulu, go ahead and scan your RFID tag. Verify on the front of your iGulu control screen that it does say it's for the English Porter, and you can go ahead and start. Now, this fermentation profile is a little bit more robust than what we've seen in the past, which I think is a good thing. It's gonna start out at 10 days at 68 degrees. After that, it's gonna go 1 day at 35, and then it lists 4 more days at 35. So it actually lists those as 2 separate steps. Now, I'm gonna reach out to iGulu and find out why they have that in 2 separate steps. Is that on purpose? Is there something happening behind the scenes in the machine itself, or is it a programming error? So I will find out and let you know. All right, next up is our Pilsner kit. Let's take a look at what comes inside. You have your pack of Golden Light dried malt extract, and that's obviously Golden Light because we want it to be very, very light in color. Your kit does come with 2 lager yeast packs. Now, that's not a mistake. Typically, when you're doing a lager, you do want to pitch more yeast than you would with an ale. It's going to ferment out faster and cleaner, so that's always the goal. So this is definitely something iGulu did right with this kit. We have the same hop as the porter as far as the aroma goes, the German Pilsner, but they actually give us 3 packs this time for the aroma. 1 pack of the hop bittering to balance that malt, and of course the RFID sticker. All right, brew steps for the Pilsner, just like all the other iGulu kits, and especially the porter that we just did, super fast and easy. I'm gonna run through it for you very quickly. Sanitize your Triton keg using your sanitizer of choice. Again, we use Star San. Fill it up to the 116 ounce mark with some filtered spring water or filtered water. Add all of your hop oils to the water. Take your dried malt extract, add that to the water as well, stir it in with a sanitized spoon until it is dissolved. After that, you're gonna pitch both of your yeast packs on top. Again, don't stir the yeast in, let them float on top. We're adding a tilt to our fermentation again, because we're nerds. And then go ahead and take your Triton lid that is still sanitized, put it on top, add your lid lock. Once that's secured, put it into your iGulu, attach your CO2 air lines, and then your serving tube. And as a reminder, make sure that white little clippy thing is clipped down all the way. Next step, you need to start your fermentation cycle. Go ahead and take your RFID sticker, scan it on the iGulu, verify it is for the Pilsner, and then hit start. Once again, these fermentation profiles do seem more robust. There's a little bit more going on with it, which I think is a really, really good thing. This Pilsner fermentation profile is 10 days at 57 degrees and then 5 days at 60. So it's actually gonna raise the temperature up for a couple of days. And this is for a diacetyl rest, which is important when you're doing lagers or pilsners because of the yeast. Warms them up, keeps them active, and allows them to clean up some of those diacetyl flavors. It'll cold crash for 1 day at 35, and then there's another step of 4 days at 35. And similar to the porter, I'm not sure why they're doing that, so I will find out and let you know. All right, we are back with the tasting of our 2 beers that we did from iGulu. We haven't tasted these yet. If you guys notice from the pour, it actually poured really, really well. And we've gotten a lot of comments of people who struggle with foaming on the iGulu F1. Check out a video, we'll link it below, where we've got a couple of solutions you can employ in your iGulu that kind of eliminate the foaming. You do get a little bit slower of a pour, but you're not wasting any beer, and the pours came out fantastic. So
that's awesome.
Awesome. All right, so we're gonna start with the Pilsner. Let's see how we did. Now, we tried a Pilsner, cheers, a non-kit Pilsner, and we had some challenges where it had a cooked corn flavor, there's some DMS in there because we weren't boiling it. Now, they didn't use a Pilsner dried malt extract, so I'm going to make a pretty safe assumption there's not gonna be a cooked corn flavor, but they did use lager yeast, so let's see how they did. Not real sweet.
Has a lot of the sour flavor to it.
Yeah, a lot of the iGulu beers have a sweetness to it. This one doesn't. Not a lot of hop presence.
No.
It's not real crisp. The carbonation level actually is pretty good. No off flavors as far as DMS.
No, I don't taste any off flavors. I just feel like I'm getting kind of some sour notes, but a very light sour.
I am too, a little bit. Yeah. It's not bad. It's not a Pilsner that I would necessarily tag as a Pilsner. It doesn't, I mean, as many aroma hops as we put in there for the German noble hops, the Hersbrucker, right? I don't get a ton of hop aroma.
I think it's actually really good though. It's refreshing.
It is.
It is. Like you mentioned, it doesn't really feel like it's an actual Pilsner or true to a Pilsner style.
Now, someone that maybe not, and I've said this about a lot of the beer kits that they do, they're very approachable. There's nothing over the top. There's nothing in your face. It's clean. It's crisp. It is crisp, but there's not a sweetness to it, which I appreciate, because that should be how it is. Overall, that's not a bad kit.
No.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's clean.
Porter. This one I'm curious about because there's no specialty grain, so I'm curious as to how they got the roastiness in there, just using a dark dried malt extract. So,
cheers.
Cheers.
I am the most excited about this one. I'm not getting any roasty notes in the aroma at all.
There's a subtle note from the malt extract. This kit also, I'm not getting a lot of sweetness out of it. So I definitely think the kits are getting, these new ones they've released, at least the 2 we've tried so far, they're definitely more dialed in. I think maybe that fermentation profile that they're doing has helped as far as some of the temperature things that they've done.
Ironically, for this one, for the porter, I almost wish there was a little bit more sweetness to it. I
Hmm.
feel like it's missing something. It's good.
Yeah,
It's just a little light, or I would
it's a
almost say watered down a little
it's
bit.
a light roastiness. It's very, very subtle. But again, there's no specialty grains. We're just working with malt extract. So actually, that's not bad. If you had to pick a favorite of these two, which one do you think you'd
The
go for? The
porter, for
porter? I
sure.
was going to say, I think I like the porter better. The Pilsner's good. I do like how this one is. I like the dryness.
I think it's tough though because personally, I think my personal opinion is getting into it versus the flavor. I
You don't
typically
like Pilsners
as
as much. That's not a style that you're really that into.
I
So
have a
yeah.
question. Could you take this as a base recipe and add anything to it to make it more true to style? Or like give it a deeper, richer flavor?
Maybe, and that might lead into an experiment where we've done some. We did a New England IPA. We'll link that video below as well,
Hmm.
where we came with kind of a hop technique, so you can add the hop bitterness without having to boil the entire mass of wort. There may be something along those same lines where you can take specialty grain to boost that complexity and roastiness, and do a grain tea that then you add. Um, you know, Before fermentation or post fermentation. I got to figure out where I'm going to add that in, but there may be a way to make it a little more complex. It's a very approachable beer. This is quite delicious. Not super complex, not super roasty, very sessionable.
Yes.
That I will say,
Yeah.
it is very sessionable.
It's probably one of their better kits, actually.
Yeah. No, that came out really, really
Mhm.
nice. What's interesting about the fermentation, and I need to ask him about this. There was two things. One, you're fermenting under pressure. I don't know why they ferment them so cold.
Yeah.
This ale was 68 degrees. You're fermenting it under, between 15 and 30 psi, depending on what your kit gets up to. That if you're doing it 1 bar, 15 psi, you should be able to raise the ambient temperature of the fermentation up about 10 degrees without any impact on the flavor really to speak of, and that lends itself to a faster fermentation. So they're doing it under pressure, and they're adding a colder temperature. So I don't know why they do that. The beers are coming out fine. Like, I have no
Mhm.
complaints, but I wonder if they could actually speed up fermentation time if they did raise temperature up a little bit. The other thing I asked them, as I noted earlier in the video, was that for the fermentation profile, both of these kits had 1 day at like 34 degrees and then 4 more days at 34 degrees. And I didn't understand what was happening. I guess that is written into the software. They might correct it for the F1. I'm not really sure. But I guess the S1, which launched on Kickstarter a month or so ago, has more of a robust fermentation control system built inside. And so that fermentation schedule is really more designed to take advantage of the S1's capability. Now, doing it on the F1 makes no difference. It's just two additional steps that don't impact the beer at all. But on the S1, I guess it changes some of the pressure post fermentation to maybe help with some foaming or carbonation. I'm not entirely sure, but that's the reason it's there. So it's not a mistake. They might fix it on the F1, but it sounds like for the S1, that is what's coming, and that's why they do that. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching our double brew day of the Pilsner and Porter kits from iGulu. Let us know if you brewed these and how they came out for you and what your thoughts are. Let us know about the other kits they've released. If you've brewed those as well, we'll probably have some follow-up videos on those kits and let you know how those come out. Catch you later, my friends.